We know that, yes, it affects our attention span. We know that. We know it's affecting our reward system. We are having a hard time reading a book. It's hard to watch a movie without going on your phone and scrolling on social media. It's obviously a problem in that sense. But this is what really was like, this is why I keep having such a hard time understanding who I want to be and how I want to show up. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Twenties Detox. I'm Bianca, your host, where we dive into all the things that I'm learning and unlearning in your 20s to elevate this decade. Make sure to follow along. I post a video every single Tuesday, and I also have a free newsletter that goes out every single Sunday around 7 a.m. The newsletter will have a message of the week relating to the podcast's theme. It will also include an unlearning message or detox message. And just for the newsletter readers, we have an action of the week. One of them is always the podcast episode, but there also will always be a journal prompt as well as an activity that you can do to implement the lessons that I share in the podcast. Again, it's completely free. It's just another way for me to be able to share some exciting things that are happening because, as you will know throughout this episode, I tend to gravitate towards the more intentional forms of media. Last but not least, if you have been enjoying these episodes so far, rating the podcast means so much to me. It's just letting me know I'm doing the right thing. You guys are liking it. So yeah, let's get into the episode. You guys already know. I don't know about you, but sometimes I am just completely exhausted and incapable of showing up online with social media. It is a struggle that I come back to time and time again because now, if you are trying to grow a business or a platform, social media is the modern form of marketing. And as well, I don't know if you guys know this, but a part of my main job is social media management. So I specifically create content, social media content for other people. Because of that, I can come with this lens of both being a creator personally, professionally, and a consumer. And maybe at the end of it, you can learn a little bit more about where you stand, potentially how it's been affecting you, and how you can have certain strategies moving forward so that when you are using social media, you have more control over it versus it controlling you. I've shared my journey with social media before. In the beginning, when it first had been created, I only posted food. I'm such a foodie and I definitely posted a lot of food. And the thing is, I've always been obsessed with photography. The amount of photos I have on my phone and videos I have on my phone from traveling or food, etc., is probably an excessive amount. And it's the reason why I'm already reaching my 2 terabytes of iCloud storage. It started off as a way for me to have an outlet with photography and sharing it with people. And then I would say when I went to university and at the tail end of my high school experience, I noticed how it wasn't becoming influencer yet because there were no reels, no videos. But I was quickly noticing how it became some sort of status, how there were some people in my high school or in my town that had more followers than others. And immediately it was giving them this platform to not just show, what they enjoyed, food pictures, but also the status of who they are within that town. It depended on how many people you knew, how many likes you were getting. But then, of course, it just continued to get more and more intense, right? So throughout university, that photos were still a huge thing. Carousel posts, having this sort of attention, right, was pretty big. And I felt trapped to it. I know some people were completely non-influenced by that, but I definitely was because I felt like I was somebody who, although I was very creative, I was in my own world and very introverted. I felt like I was constantly searching for the external validation to be liked, to be seen, and Instagram was a way to do that. So the way that I was portraying myself was not very authentic, was very posed, and it all came from external validation. And now, as it's progressed, it no longer was just a way to show photos or even be a part of this status within an area, within a school, within a town. It is now the modern marketing where brands are showing up, influencers are a thing. This is full-time jobs for people. That was not how Instagram had started. And TikTok also became a thing around 2020 or right before then. I was so late to game with downloading TikTok. I actually currently don't have TikTok anymore. And I definitely limit my Instagram consumption because I've learned a lot from not just working in it and also doing some deep reflections on how it has been affecting a lot of people. So first and foremost, I think we need to remember, and I said this already twice, I'm not sure if you caught it, but it is now the modern marketing. And that is a really important piece of information that we continuously forget while we're scrolling on social media and we're on social media. That now the default for marketing are not just ads, are not just on billboards, or not just infomercials. A lot of companies are now putting their money into specifically UGC. Right? Because I noticed that a lot of us need real familiar people to know what their thoughts are on a certain product or service. Is that everything of what social media is? No, there's a lot of people just posting their day-to-day life. There's still some people that post food, but it has passed a point of just sharing for connection. This has become a job for a lot of people and a form of marketing for a lot of companies. So that's something that we need to remember. And the reason why it's easy to forget is because everything now is portrayed as entertainment. And even a lot of people that are doing brand deals are not disclosing that as a promotional ad. And companies like Meta and TikTok are not able to keep up, or do they care enough to be able to catch and audit all these people that are doing it constantly? And it's not always the creator's fault. In fact, I remember when I was in the beginning of my exploration of brand deals where companies would specifically ask, do not put on the tag of this is a promotional video. Like they would say that in the contract. Does that happen with every company? No. I'm just saying, clearly it's not being audited enough that even the companies themselves have it in their contracts to not put it out there. And yet, the way that so many of these very smart and creative creators are putting it out there is a way of entertainment as a natural part of their routine. And sometimes we're forgetting how influenced we are becoming with products and services. Now, I realized that this is a way for almost all creators to make money. Like, think about how there's celebrities that will do a commercial or talk about some sort of product or service, because that is another way for them to get income. And if you can imagine a full-on celebrity doing that, of course there are going to be so many lower grade influencers, micro, macro influencers regardless, that are using that as their primary stream of income. People that are buying all these Amazon products and then talking about it in a way that it's a part of their outfit or whatever, that's all strategic in order for them to get money through affiliate links. Now, I am not saying this to shun all these creators and influencers. I do, however, think we need to remember that this is a tactic that is happening. I saw this video of this woman saying, like, if leggings don't fit your body type, like, you should wear dresses. This is what I was wearing today. You know, I had a little belt on, and it was a link that posted to this Amazon group of all these products. And that's like a way that she can make money. And you know what? As some of these creators should, you know, there's a reason why in shows and movies, they'll have like computers with the logo not on it, or like a fake Apple or whatever, because they don't want to just promote a major brand for free. Creators on Instagram were noticing their power, that they also were like, well, I'm not going to be promoting a product for free unless I can get a slice of that pie. That is fine. Once again, I'm just saying, let's remember that that is a process that is happening though. So social media now is not just all fun and games. We're being consistently influenced of things to buy. Aside from that, there are three main things that I've been noticing that is affecting us in a major way. And it's the reason why I really, really feel like limiting social media consumption is honestly the answer to all your prayers. We joke about how our parents' generations will say, it's the phones. It's the phones. And we're like, no, it's not the phones. I hate to break it to you, but they're right. Especially at the age of being in your 20s, I really need you to listen to this. Our neuroplasticity is at its highest, which means that the ability to reconstruct what we believe in and how we want to identify and what we want to value can very easily be changed. It's at its peak of being able to do that. The second thing is, this is our first decade of our life where we are able to explore and learn who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. We were never meant to see this many people on a constant basis. We know that, yes, it affects our attention span. We know that. We know it's affecting our reward system. We are having a hard time reading a book. It's hard to watch a movie without going on your phone and scrolling on social media. It's obviously a problem in that sense, sure. But this is what really was like, this is why I keep having such a hard time understanding who I want to be and how I want to show up. As a person in your 20s, if you feel lost constantly, like a perpetual sense of feeling lost, I'm going to say to a certain extent, that is natural because we go through identity crises and we're trying to learn about what we value and what we want in our life. But it's becoming even more difficult to find our footing because we are being bombarded with so many different people's opinions and values on a constant basis. And because of the scrolling, we're not able to take that information and discern it as, okay, is this an opinion? Is this a fact? Do I believe in this? Do I not believe in this? Does it align with my values? Because when you read a book or you read an article and you're doing this, you're flipping the page. There's actual scientific studies that will say when you flip the page, your brain is now downloading everything that you had just retained from that previous page, and also allowing your brain to have that quick moment to process what just happened. There's a lot of people going on there that are giving their personal anecdotal experience and explaining it as textbook advice. And why is that so damaging? Our brain has no idea what we really value. Not to mention, almost everything we see online are highlights of people's perfect scenarios. So not only are we in such a vulnerable position to constantly feel lost because you're like, what are my values? What are my opinions? But it's also very easy to also simultaneously feel so behind because when people are only posting the highlights of their life, you look back at your life in the mundane, just thinking, wow, mine doesn't look that good. What's wrong with me? The reason why I focus on people in their 20s so much is because it was already hard. It was already hard before the phones. It was already hard before the internet. It was already hard before the political climate. It was already hard before the environmental climate issues. It was already hard. I want you to just reflect on how you consistently feel on these apps. I'll tell you some of the feelings that I feel. Most times I feel a tad anxious, and it isn't because the creators themselves wanted it to be that way, but I feel anxious because the two things with lost and feeling behind. I also look at people who might be sharing their promotions or their children or their marriages. And sometimes it's like, wow, I'm nowhere near that. What's wrong with me? So I start feeling behind. I think, of course, if it's like a friend or somebody I really care about, I'm so happy for them. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Unfortunately, when you're scrolling and you saw 50 other videos of people posting their highlighted reels of their life, then you're like, oh, wait, people are going to tell you, well, there's a reason why you're jealous. There's a reason why you're feeling these things, et cetera, et cetera. You forget that the system on social media is built for you to fail. It's built for you to feel insecure. It's built for you to want to compare, because those tension pain points are the addictive qualities for you to come back to the app. So you get back on the app and you learn the trends and you learn how people are doing their makeup and you're learning how they're dressing themselves, structured in a way for us to come back, as all addictive things are. There's another thing, because I already mentioned two main issues that I personally feel with Instagram. The attention span and reward system. I don't need to go deep into that because I'm sure you already know this. You know, it affects that. The second thing is that mental noise of people's values, of the trends and the opinions. It's very, very fast without your ability to critical think and process that information. And then the third major thing is, because of the first two, we are having a really strong inability to be bored. And there's more studies about the importance of boredom out there. I encourage you to read it. I'll put some in the description there. Boredom is where creativity is born. It's also where sometimes we might have existential thoughts. And when you're able to do that and let yourself be bored, then you're able to finally process all this information you got and say, you know what, actually, I don't believe in this. The real question is, why do we keep coming back to it? Why do we keep coming back to it? We're told that our phones are ruining us. We're told that social media is ruining us. But why do we come back to it? By default, the app is addictive. They know it. They've created it that way. There's a reason why they created it that way. Aside from it just being like an addictive platform, it's the way that a lot of people are communicating now. It's a lot of how we're getting our information online. And it can be really easy to experience that FOMO. Like, I remember when I deleted Snapchat years ago, there was a couple times when I'd re-downloaded it because people were talking about it, or like, I sent you something on Snapchat, or like, did you see my story on there? I'm also hearing people on social media saying like, did you see so-and-so got engaged? Like, it's on their story. Did you see their post? Every time that those conversations happen in real life, I forget, oh yeah, like, it's a platform for all. It's a platform where we're communicating our lives, our personal lives. It's also the brand deals. It's also the influencing. It's also the people sharing their opinion, and they really shouldn't be sharing their opinion. So all of that is in one scroll sometimes. Another thing that I was realizing when I was writing it down is because in the beginning of this episode, I was sharing how it all started with like our hometowns, and we were posting on Instagram, and very soon we started understanding the way that Instagram was set up gave these people a platform to show what their status level was at. And now it's built into so much more with influencers that we idolize them. I have a mini episode about like the psychology behind why we all want to be famous, why a lot of people want to be famous or want to be recognized. It's because fame in itself is one of the highest levels of success. Like, you've really made it. You're known worldwide. You must be the best at that with your craft. And that's another reason why it can be hard to come off of that app, is because we intuitively want to know more of like what they have to share. How can we learn from it? It also gives us a spark of inspiration of like, oh, I want to be really good too at my craft, and to continue further with like practicing it. I kind of talked about all the negatives with social media. Are there duality? Of course, I show up on there. I post on there. Do I post less now? Yeah. Because I'm recognizing it's not the impact that I want to give anymore. And how can I be Miss Detoxer and encourage you to stay on Instagram and TikTok when I know that it is one of the major issues? I have the most amazing friends that post on there. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to just see their content. But gosh, is that platform doing them a disservice too? Some of it is not even being shown. It is hard to even retain all the good information that they're sharing, because then I got lost in a scroll and my attention span. Like I said, remember how I said when you flip a page, you're able to download all that information? I want you to think back to your favorite creator and the main core things that they had spoken about. Can you do it? It's probably really hard, but you will probably be able to remember the last long podcast episode you listened to, the last book you read, the last movie you watched, because it's a longer form of content. It's also intentional, where you had probably actively sought that piece of content, whether or not you looked it up or you saw the title and said, I want to listen to that. We're never asked every time we scroll, do you want to learn about X, Y, and Z? Do you want to see this? No, we're just given it. So we're also not given that autonomy to choose, and we're not placed in a position where we're even able to really process what we're hearing. So what are some of the things that I like to do now that you clearly know where I stand in this? I will be honest, I'm currently at a spot where I'm like, what is the point of me being on social media anymore? But if I do, I love the little favorites tab, and I use Opal, the app Opal, and none of this is sponsored, by the way, the app Opal, to set a limit of how long I'm able to be on Instagram. Sometimes I just set it to 7 minutes, and I'll scroll on there, specifically the favorites tab, because then you'll be surprised soon after that scrolling. You think you're only there for like 30 seconds, and then Opal will be like, okay, it's done. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did 7 minutes go so fast? And that's how we really lose track of time, and hours can go by as we're scrolling. That is a way for me to control at least seeing like what some of my friends are posting on their platforms, because like I said, some of them are absolutely incredible and post like the most amazing things. However, I sometimes get too overwhelmed and lose track of it, and that 7 minutes really like hones in my focus for that, and I tend to get off after. I really do, because it's a pattern reset that is necessary for me to recognize what I'm doing. The other thing that I really do, and I've shared this before, is I delete my apps from my phone, the social media apps, specifically Instagram and YouTube, on the weekends. So I have 2 full days where I am not in a position where I can scroll. I've heard a lot of people also use Brick. I find it's good to just have the apps off my phone so I don't even see it, and it's also free. I mean, you can get Brick if you want, and very smart. I just don't need it on my phone on the weekends. I think the only issue is if you are in social media marketing like me, Brick might be good throughout the week when you are working so that you can brick it off certain period of times. I think you need to explore where you're at with it. The other thing that I really, really want you guys to focus on, and I'm going to put something in the description for you to do this for yourself. I want you to reconnect with your values in life. And I said this for the morning routines video, but I didn't give a sheet for you to do it. There's this sheet of a bunch of different values. And what you're going to do is you're going to print it out, cut it out. You can even write this out if you don't want to print it out, of what you don't think is important at all, what you think is not really important, neutral, kind of important, and extremely important. And you're going to go through them. Take your time with it. Place where you think those values are going to be in your life. And you can even save that and come back to it in another 6 months. That is really going to help you know where you actually stand on business with things, like what you actually value in your life. And then to add on that, how are you able to support those values without social media? Most of them will be without social media, right? Maybe it's connection with loved ones. Maybe you're realizing you need to go see your loved ones more on the weekends. Like go see your family, your mama, your dad, if you don't live near them. I will notice when I'm disconnected from myself or feeling like a bit down, when I've realized I've done very little that aligns with my values right now. And the last thing that I want to tell you guys, because this, similar to understanding the importance of values and how we're so influenced by it, this also really encouraged me to get off social media. And I'm curious if you've ever thought of it like this, because there was only one other creator that thought about this. If you love to watch movies, TV shows, or read books, you really like to consume those types of content. How boring would it be if the main character was always on their phone and always watching TV? It would not be a story. It wouldn't be a story worth reading or worth watching. And sometimes I think, oh my gosh, I'm not even the main character of my life, because I am like that side character that they don't care anything about, where we wouldn't really be fazed if they were watching TV or be on their phone. They're not doing enough in this movie, in this story, to be worthwhile paying attention to. They're just an extra. And I don't want us to feel like extras in our own life. We need to be the main characters of our own life. And those main characters are not doom scrolling on their phones. And also, they're not watching movies all the time. They're doing other things with their life. So I don't know how this is going to sit with you. This brought some resistance. I encourage you to think about what came up during this. Like, there's a lot that I shared here. Some of it might completely resonate with you. Some of it might give you a lot of discomfort. Some you might not agree with at all. And that's okay. I need you to sit with it and really understand, like, what are you feeling? Because that also might be then and there a value that you need to uphold. There's a reason why I don't do any brand deals on here, really. And it's because there's very few products that I even consume that I would even want to sell. And my reasons for doing this are first and foremost for a connection. Full transparency, not a lot of money that I make with it, and it's because I haven't made that a priority. The only way that if you would like to support this financially for me is to buy one of my guides, Align Your Life with the Seasons. There's going to be other things I want to put up there. I clearly have some thoughts on the way that influencing is going, and it's a reason why I'm becoming like a de-influencer. I've spoken to so many people within our generation from all over the world. I've been doing this for like 5 years now, and I just want all of us to feel better. I want all of us to feel happier. The world will never get better if we all feel sad and anxious, lost, and feeling behind. So maybe I won't benefit like all the rest of them, but it is what it is. I'm grateful for anybody that's listening. Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for commenting on Spotify, on YouTube. I'm feeling so blessed and grateful to be able to connect with so many of you. If you did enjoy this, make sure to send it over to a friend. Maybe you guys can talk about it, share it online. I'm loving all of you guys sharing where you're listening from and putting it on your stories. Like, that's so cool. It's like, oh my gosh, you're watching from like completely on the other side of the world for me. Like, that's sick. That's so cool. And once again, if you want to dive a little bit deeper onto some tips, then I have a free newsletter that comes out every single Sunday. I appreciate you for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye.